Sando Trini. A San Fernando story. Boysie Singh and ghosts in the Gulf. Audio. The people of San Fernando were intrigued by a case which appeared in the Trinidad Guardian. It was a case about a businessman turned notorious criminal. His name was Mr. Boysie Singh. He was a well-known gambler, extortionist and racketeer in Port of Spain. He profited from the entertainment needs of the foreign servicemen who were stationed at the U.S. bases on the island. Calypsonians gave themselves nicknames to match conquerors and invaders throughout history. Two such examples are, Raymond Quevedo, called himself Attila the Hun, and Rupert Westmore Grant, a man from San Fernando, was named Lord Invader. Attila the Hun was a leader of the Huns, a people to whom the Roman Empire made payments in gold, so that Romans could live in peace. The Trinidadian Calypsonian who called himself Lord Invader was given his name by a friend who urged him to invade Port of Spain with his calypsos. Maybe Mussolini was on his mind. The names of invaders and conquerors were taught as history or general knowledge in schools in Trinidad. We may forget those names, but we will always remember Mr. Boysie Singh. He was one of the most well-known men in Trinidad and Tobago, and he remains the most notorious criminal in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Recent events seems to suggest that his victims seek company in the depths of the Gulf of Paria. Boysie Singh was someone who transitioned from a Port of Spain racketeer, to nightclub official, to a smuggler of goods from Cedros in South Trinidad to Venezuela. He encountered too much competition from seasoned southern smugglers, so he concentrated on the safer waters in the north. Boysie Singh operated a shuttle from the old leper asylum jetty at Cocorite, to Venezuela. He became a pirate who robbed other smugglers of their goods bound for Venezuela. It is said that a thief from a thief makes the big man smile, but that was not the case with Boysie Singh. He stole boats, engines and valuables, and disposed of all evidence, including bodies, in the northern Gulf of Paria. Venezuela is now in political and economic turmoil, but Venezuela, during the 50s, was the place of choice for immigrants from the Caribbean islands. After World War II, the economic presence of the American servicemen, and the booming nightclub hustle which followed the American servicemen in Trinidad was over. The Mighty Sparrow immortalized this period in his song when he stated, "The Yankees gone." Boysie Singh accepted unsuspecting passengers who wanted to remain anonymous and journey to Venezuela. His clients were people who wanted to quietly leave Trinidad to explore their options in neighboring Venezuela. Boysie Singh accepted unsuspecting passengers who wanted to remain anonymous. The profiles of those passengers fit in perfectly with the intentions of Mr. Boysie Singh. The passengers kept their itineraries secret, and thus their disappearances went unnoticed for very long periods. The number of victims Boysie Singh disposed of will never be known, but estimates are 100 or more. He was finally exposed and executed on August 20, 1957. The archives of the Newsday and the Trinidad Guardian newspapers contain the graphic descriptions and grisly details of his crimes. The dark waters of the northern Gulf of Paria should have been cleansed since 1957, but the criminal copycats of 2020 continue to pollute the Gulf and stir up the ghost of Boysie Singh. Here are a few headlines from two Trinidad newspapers. July, 2019. 5 fishing vessels were stolen from Carly Bay and Orange Valley, and the 12 fishermen were thrown overboard into the Gulf of Paria. 5 survived and 7 are still missing. June 3, 2020. Wicker cages full of birds, monkeys and turtles, all on the list of protected wildlife, were thrown overboard into the Gulf of Paria. October 1, 2020. Smugglers drowned birds and animals to destroy evidence when they were intercepted by the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard. The ghosts and jumbies of the victims of Boysie Singh reside in the Gulf of Paria. They lure fishermen, birds, monkeys and turtles to join them under the rolling blue water. The end.